Taking a Walk. Well, Lee, thanks for being on Taking a Walk. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So, since the podcast is called Taking a Walk, I wanted to ask you if you could take a walk with somebody, living or dead, doesn't have to be in the music business, but it could be. Who would that be, and where would you take a walk, Lee?
I'd like to walk with Terry again.
Amen. Anywhere, anywhere, anytime, right?
Yep. I don't do that much walking anyway. I sit around, I have a cup of coffee, I start practicing in the morning, and I get up and I go into my office. And then I go back to where I'm watching TV or, continue practicing and stuff. And then I drive across town to the grocery store or to my studio. There isn't a lot of walking involved, but I guess if it would take me about, 3-4 hours to walk to the studio the way I walk.
Well, it's a saunter, right? Rather than a walk.
Exactly.
But let's touch on the importance of Terry Kath. You mentioned him as the person to take a walk with. Obviously, he's an integral part of your life and someone that's so unforgettable and had such an influence on you. Can you talk about the early beginnings with Terry?
Well, he and I used to hang out a lot, and we lived together for a while in Chicago, and as the band was starting. And Terry was, I think he was actually wanting to move to California. He had a girlfriend named, I don't know if it was his girlfriend or not, but it was a girl that he was infatuated with by the name of Ophelia. And if she's watching this, I don't even know if she's alive, but or what her last name is, or if I saw her on the street, I wouldn't be able to recognize her. But anyway, he was infatuated with her at the time and was thinking of moving to California. And he changed his mind and went with we were forming, or actually Walt was forming a new band after the Missing Links broke up. And Terry was the bass player in the Missing Links. When that band broke up, we formed Chicago. And we've been doing this ever since, 58 years. Who knew?
Congratulations. It's an amazing legacy, and it's a legacy that's still being built. Lee, how does a band continue to say so precision sharp to this day?
We enjoy doing what we're doing. When we get on stage or play in any capacity, we like what it sounds like. So that's the key factor that hasn't changed from the first time we got together in Walt's basement in Chicago. And beyond that, once we started writing music, when we were able to play clubs where they allowed us to play original music without getting fired, we had to either play top 40 or get out. We did like everybody else, including the Beatles. I mean, nobody got away with trying to be original because no one has heard those songs. So they want people to come into the club, not be, move. What are these guys playing? Anyway, so regardless, everybody had to play top 40 music for a while and then start writing their own music. And as that started catching on and we started the recording process, once the first hit was accomplished, which was Make Me Smile, we went back and re-released songs off the first album, which AM radio would not play at first because we hadn't had a hit. Strangely enough, that catch-22 problem. And our first album was so underground. That's always amazed me why the radio wouldn't play the music at first, but the album was successful. And it was underground, and we were like stars in Europe. First time we went to England, we were stars. First time we went to Europe, it was amazing. We didn't even know what to think about that. And the music is so ahead of its time. What are they going to do next? Oh my God! So then the second album comes out, and we release "Make Me Smile," which is a 14-minute piece, the ballet for a girl in Buchanan. Make Me Smile is the first movement, and the reprise of Make Me Smile is the last movement. And we just cut out all that music stuff in the middle. Who needs that? That classical stuff. Too much music, too musical. And squashed it together and made a 3.5 minute song out of it called Make Me Smile. and that got us started. And when we went back and re-released the songs on the first album, does anybody really know what time it is? Beginnings, Question 67, 68, they all became hits. And the most amazing thing to me is that music that was so far ahead of its time, and oh my God, these are geniuses. What's going to happen next? They said we sold out because the music had become successful. We didn't change a note, and that all went on. Pretty crazy.
That is crazy. And to this day, sometimes when somebody uses the term, oh, this is pop music, oh, this is pop, you
Yeah,
know, I remind them, I'm sure you do too. You go, wait a minute, pop equates popular. So it's like there's no
exactly.
sellout here. And in fact, I remember your first album becoming a staple of progressive rock radio on FM.
Yeah,
And
yeah. We
and
were one of the
and
first
it,
prog rock bands.
yeah, and what was so awesome about it is you fused all these sounds together, you know, pop, rock, jazz, and it was utter perfection. No one had heard anything like this.
Well, we did it naturally. It was organic for us because we just played the music that was written, and that's how we heard it and felt it. And when we saw those notes, that's what we played. And that style was came from the stuff that we had listened to growing up, the big bands, classical music. Some of the stuff that you hear from us is the bum 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 bum, and some of it is like jazz. Da da ba 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 ba. You know, you have to be able to play the different styles, and it's not that you have to. That's what we did to make, and I think that set us apart from other bands.
Do you remember that session for CTA? And what do you remember about that, or those sessions, I would say?
Oh, CTA on the first album?
Yes.
Well, first of all, we had to do it in the dark of night. We were the 12 to 8 shift. We started at midnight and went till 8 o'clock in the morning. Then we went and got a sandwich and went home or to the hotel for a while. And I think Simon and Garfunkel had the studio during the day, and we had it at night. And thank God we knew the music as good as we did, because the hardest part for us was learning how to record. We didn't know how to record. And you got yourself in front of those microphones, and they pick up every sound that you make. So you got to get past the nervousness of making a mistake and learn how to use it in for your benefit.
How long did those sessions take, Lee?
I think we recorded the first album in only a few weeks. It wasn't all that long because we knew the material so well. We were writing it for the first, we came to California in 68. And during that time, we were playing small clubs, Itchy Foot Mo's. That's a club in Alhambra. I don't even know if that's open anymore. We played the Whiskey, and that's where Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin saw us. Well, especially Jimmy. I'm not sure where Janis saw us, but I know it was the Fillmore West. She asked us to go on the road with her, and so did Jimmy, and that was our start in the big time. And that was the start where we were the opening act. So I want to hear Jimmy. So they wanted us off the stage, but enough people, I guess, liked what we sounded like to stop yelling at us and listen to the first few songs and then let Jimmy come on stage.
Amazing. My understanding is Jimmy was one of the softest, sweetest gentlemen that anyone could ever run across.
Well, I didn't spend a lot of time with him, but we did, have some talks in, Holiday Inn hotel rooms, and just sort of sat around and did some strange smoking things, and probably looked for cheeseburgers afterwards, munch. But that
Now,
was fun. And I know he wanted to, uh, Walt always said that he wanted to record an album with us. And unfortunately, he passed away before we were able to get to that. But I think that was in the plans.
can you imagine that? My God.
Pretty cool.
No
Talk about
kidding.
legacy, right?
Yeah. Now, you mentioned the Holiday Inn. Is it true that while you were out on the road and living in those Holiday Inns, there was There was the Holiday Inn room where two of you, roomed together, and then there was the other Holiday Inn room that was the party room.
There was a party room, and all of us slept in the other room. We only had two rooms. There wasn't much money back then. People think, oh, they're rock stars, the old money for nothing and your chicks for free. Not quite. Not quite. You got to work for this stuff.
Now, back to the studio aspect of things, how did you make the studio sound ultimately transfer to the sound that would be the concert sound?
We pretty much played it the same way that we did in the studio as we did live in a club, or the harder part was spreading out on stage. We didn't want to spread out right away on the big 40-foot stages. You would see this little the band in the middle of it. And you have to like get your binoculars out. Are those guys up there or what? But we were so used to playing close together that it took a while to spread it out. And then when you do that, you spread out the band, the configuration of the band. It's harder to hear each other, and there's like a couple milliseconds aren't much, but when you're playing music, if the drum hits a beat and you're on the other side of the stage, a couple milliseconds later, that's when you get the sound. When they finally invented the headphone monitors, and you could do like you could hear the drummer right now. You didn't have to wait for it to get to you. You could hear it right in your ears immediately as he plays it. So that helped everybody be able to play together in a live setting, the big auditorium live settings.
I saw you and actually was fortunate to MC, bring you guys on stage at a show. It was a place called the Pinecrest Country Club in Shelton, Connecticut.
Aha!
And so I was working at a radio station in Connecticut called I-95, and I was able to bring you guys out, and
All
I'll
right.
never forget it because getting that experience, being on stage and experiencing the machine-like, masterful approach of
What year was that?
Chicago. This would have been, I think, 1979, I believe.
So like the year after Terry died, Terry was already gone by then.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it. It was incredible. And I think about this amazing legacy of the band. You've never missed a year of touring, which is, considering what we've been through the last few years with COVID and everything, it's even
We, we even
more
played at the
remarkable.
beginning of the COVID year in January and February, and then the world shut down. 15 months later, in 2021, we started back up again. So we played in the COVID year 2020, and we played 2021, I think June or July or something, we started back up. And so we continued every year without a year off of touring. Amazing.
It's incredible. How did it make you feel, though, officially coming back, even though you never had left your fans? This connection with fans, what does it mean to you and the rest of the band members?
There's nothing like it. I mean, without them, there's no career. Somebody doesn't buy tickets and come to see you. You sit at home and you don't get to do Zoom interviews. And Zoom was created during the pandemic, and it afforded people not to have to come to work anymore for whatever reasons. And you do everything right from your house. But it's like, all of a sudden you do an interview and you have to be the producer. I did all my I got my Tonight Show production curtain behind me here. And I think how's my face?
It's wonderful. It's
Yeah,
tremendous.
we got to do all the production too. Make sure the Zoom works and you can click the right buttons to see each other. Pretty strange. The world has changed and it's continuing to.
Well, I must say, sir, for you being curious as a musician, but also curious in other aspects of life, I think, in fact, I know you're the first Hall of Fame musician who I also know runs IT for his band's organization.
That's right. As a matter of fact, I just relearned Sibelius program to do a brass chart that we're going to rehearse when we get to Las Vegas on, we'll see each other on Friday before the show. And we'll go over that Friday or Saturday. That we'll do a rehearsal, and pretty interesting. We're doing a fan club convention at the second week that we're there in Las Vegas, and yeah, it's starting right up again. Like, it's good to be home, and it's good to go back on the road. I'll miss everything that I've been living with here because I enjoy being home as much as I do being on the road. Hardest part is always the travel, getting there and getting from there back here.
And this is a residency that you'll have for a bunch of shows at the Venetian, right?
The Venetian, yeah, we do 9 shows. The first show is at the end of February, and then we finish up mid-March sometime.
So, did you get your curiosity as a musician, as a person, leading, of course, to great music career, but also this IT side job? Did you get that curiosity from your dad?
No, not really, but musical curiosity, yes, because he had a lot of big band albums, and I would listen to those quite a bit. And then when I was old enough, at 11 years old, he asked me if I wanted to join the band at school, maybe play the trumpet. So we went in, he took me in, and we met the band director. They took a look at my teeth to make sure I wasn't going to mash myself to, the inside of my mouth up. And I guess I passed muster because I started playing trumpet and then haven't stopped. And it's been, God, over 60 years playing the horn.
Can you talk about some of the horn players that you've studied or you continue to study through your career?
Well, Freddie Hubbard and Lee Morgan and, Miles. Actually, I got into Miles later and more for the stuff that he didn't play. The beauty of the stuff that he didn't play as much as the stuff that he did. It's pretty crazy how Miles put it together and was different from all others. And talk about a legacy. That's an amazing one. And I listened to the big bands, Tommy Dorsey and Glenn Miller, and played along with those records. And then Maynard came out, and I played everything down an octave. I went, there's no way I'm ever going to be able to hit those notes, baby. So as it turns out, the more you can get these muscles around the lip strong and sturdy, so that, I guess trumpet players call it the corners. So when you close your mouth, this is like, you feel the muscles around here. It's like solid, but everything inside here is soft and supple and has to be really respected and be easy on it and just blow the air through the horn and not jam it against your mouth. Because as soon as you jam it in, it's a piece of metal stopping the lips from buzzing. That's problematic.
That's an issue.
Especially when you're trying to get up in the upper register and you think you're going to pull it this way to get the note. It's not the way it works. You have to just relax and let the lips buzz and play the note.
I love how you're using the term buzz too.
That's right. We're buzzing about. I'm going to buzz right after we finish here.
Buzzing around.
That's right.
What's a regular part of your rehearsal discipline, whether every day or how do you stay so sharp?
I get up in the morning and I have a cup of coffee and start warming up. Normally, it feels like I'm missing something if I haven't gotten to the horn soon enough. Like if I don't get into it until later in the day, as long as I am able to play my horn during the day and get to my routines, it feels like I've accomplished something during the day. And just recently, I said, I was relearning Sibelius, the music program. And that's pretty difficult because you have to learn all the ins and outs of which button to push and how to move it over there. So thank goodness I know something about music as to how to break up the bars, because you have to hit the buttons to split up the bar so you can fit the notes that you need in there. Da 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 ba. That all has a look to it. You play those 16th notes and then da 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 da. There's a rest there. You put a 16th rest in, click to the next one, and then play the next. Put in the next note. So it's pretty intricate and a lot of fun. But after you do it for a few hours, you're like bleary eyed. You know, just sitting there working with a computer, all of a sudden, wait a minute, what time is it? I got to stop this for a minute. And then, you know, I tell people that if there's advice that I can give them, do something in your life that you lose yourself into, like that, like the Sibelius or practicing, just art or welding. You know, I mean, if anything, whatever excites you and takes your time, where you lose yourself in it and don't realize what time of day it is, what day it is. You're just into that project so much. Do that for a living. And inevitably, most people will try to talk you out of it because you're only concentrating on one thing. It's like, that's what I like, though. I want to do that. Keep doing
That's
it.
that's brilliant. That is brilliant, spot on advice. When you're doing those warm-ups, is some of that, or a little more than some of it, improvisation?
No, not really. It's stuff that I've been doing, you know, day after day for years and years. And, you know, all brass players can relate to that. You keep switching off different books, but basically you're playing the same 12 notes all your life. You know, it's just in different registers, the low register, the middle register, and the upper register, as high as you can go and as low as you can go. And the easier you can do that, the more fun you have with the instrument, any instrument.
Is that the key that has helped you and the band stay so incredibly relevant for 58 years?
Pretty much, you know, like I said, the first time we got together, we liked what it sounded like when we played together. And that hasn't changed, you know. And as the music has been written, and wherever that came from, you know, Robert and Jimmy and Terry, and then a few other guys started getting into it along the line. Whenever there was a lull in how many songs were being written for an album, somebody else in the band stood up, presented something to keep the legacy afloat. And it's been that way our entire career. Somebody else gets up and takes the reins, and you just keep moving on.
And your thoughts when you look out into the crowd and you see, the multi-generational aspect of the crowd, how does that make you feel?
It's very cool because when the songs were written, I know when I wrote Call on Me, that my first song that was on record, I was hoping that anybody besides myself would like it. You know, so for that to have the success that that's had since 1974, and you know, I'm still making royalties on that song, even though it wasn't one of our huge hits. It was my introduction in helping something to the legacy and providing something for the legacy. So it's great. And you know, I came in sheepishly. You want to hear my song? You know, because all these guys were like established songwriters by then. We had a bunch of hits under our belt by the seventh album. You know, it was a pretty amazing career already. We had only begun.
By the way, Call on Me, one of many of my Chicago favorites. So
All right, thank you. Appreciate
it's absolutely so brilliant. Back to the residency.
it.
I don't know if you have a thought on the way residencies have become. I think they're great for fans and great for musicians, especially based on the whole, travel aspect of things that you
Yes, where
referred
you
to.
don't have to travel. Yeah.
Right. So I think it's done a lot of good in terms of the showcasing. But any thoughts on the new phenomenon, the Sphere in Las Vegas?
Uh, haven't been in the building. I've only seen it, you know, glowing in the daytime and nighttime. So I'm not, you know, it's sort of like looking at an alien, and you don't know what is inside or how you once you get in there if you're going to be abducted or not. And as far as playing there, we haven't been offered a gig there. And as far as I know, it costs a lot of money for each artist to go in and play because they apparently have to redo the productions each time. So I'm not sure exactly what it'll involve, but we'll do it if we're asked. That's for sure. If it comes up, I have no problem going into another venue.
Yeah, I think it's going to ultimately, whether there's more spheres that pop up or whether elements of it, they probably are at your residency as well, just in the way it's showcased, the video and, the
Right.
surround sound sort of feel of it.
Is that what it is? Surround sound?
Yeah, it's
Ah.
pretty intense. So it's an experience, but I think residencies are experiences as well. So I
They
think
are.
it's just an extension of it.
And they just use a different name for it. They call it a residency now, but it was just a longstanding gig when we did it before. We opened up the Aladdin when no other rock and roll people would go into Las Vegas because it was Frank Sinatraville at the time. So it was thought of as an older venue, older crowd type venue, just Las Vegas in general. And when we played the Aladdin, opened up the Aladdin, and now the Aladdin is closed, so we outlived that one too. But when that opened up, other artists started coming in. Other artists of our generation started coming into Las Vegas, and that whole thing turned around. And now it's like residencies and bigger and bigger and better and longer and faster and higher and all the stuff that happens in the world. If a little's good, a lot's better.
Right. Tell me what the experience was like that yielded Chicago at the JFK Center, which is just a fabulous collection.
Yeah, the Kennedy Center. Yeah,
I
that
mean,
was
I'm sorry, the Kennedy Center. Yes.
right. That was pretty cool. I forgot we even did that because earlier in the year we did the Carnegie Hall live at the Carnegie Hall, and we did 6 days, 8 shows. And myself and our engineer Tim Jessup, we restored all 8 shows. So that came out. What was that last year? Last year, the year before, I
I
forget
think
when.
year before, yeah.
Yeah, it took like 10 months for me and Tim to pull that one together, though. That was quite an accomplishment for us. And I liked the way it sounded because we were able to get, because 50 years later, technology has changed. So you could play the tape or the file or whatever, it's called files now because they're digital. You don't see the tape running around the machine anymore, but you can see the sound bites on the screen and you can see when it comes in and when it goes out. So in order to, and the room is very ambient. It's Carnegie Hall, so it's built for concerts. And so the drums are very ambient. The microphones are on all around the drums, all that stuff. And you can see the music that you need to save and cut out. You can erase that time in between and then fade into the first note. So you don't know. So whoever's listening doesn't realize that you have cut out all of that stuff that is just noise. It's just ambient noise from the rest of the band playing, and then you play that note and then fade out of that and wait for the next one. And you do that with all brass parts, all the horn parts, all the vocal parts, anything that's not direct into an amplifier. You have to do that, and then you're able to, when you're done, be able to, when you push up the instrument, you can actually hear the instrument better and you can EQ it without having all the other noise behind you. That's why we were able to hear it and sort of immerse yourself into the crowd. I know we sat there every day going, man, it feels like I'm like right here in the crowd with them. That's the whole idea.
Are there other projects over the horizon past the upcoming tour that you can talk about?
At this point, I know we're writing music. I am for sure. And I don't know if it'll be a Chicago album or a Lee Loughnane album. Like somebody's going to go, hey, yeah, well, Lee Loughnane, hey, sure, I'm going to go out and pick one of those. But
Come
we'll
on
see.
now. They
My
will.
my bread is buttered with the band, with the logo, with Chicago. So that's what I've based my life on. Life is based it on me. They actually named the city after us. We were so popular.
Oh, I love it. When I think of the collection of music over the years, over the decades, and I think of what this music does certainly to me personally and to your fans, it's so uplifting and so just makes us feel great. I produce this other podcast. It's called Music Saved Me, which is about sort of the healing power and what music does to us, basically. Do you think music has healing powers
Oh yeah,
for?
for sure. Brings people together who would normally not be together at all. You know, same thing like with 12-step programs. People you've never imagined that you would meet on the street, meet in there, you know, with big problems that you can work yourself out of. But music definitely is a healing, universal healing method.
Well, I have to tell you, you continue to give us amazing joy. The tour is going to be joyful. The residency at the Venetian is something for folks to look up to and look forward to as a destination. Also,
Right.
don't forget about the documentary, The Last Band on Stage, as well.
Right. That was our 55th anniversary documentary. We have the one before that, which was the 50th anniversary documentary.
With your friend Joe Mantegna, right?
Yes, exactly. Right.
Yeah, yeah, the great Joe, the great actor. But I can't thank you enough for everything and for being on Taking a Walk, Lee Loughnane.